Hi, my name is Jordan Milner, and this is my video for assignment number 4. Hi everyone, I'd like to welcome you to our professional development meeting for this month. And before we get started, I just wanted to let you guys know that I think you're an absolutely incredible staff. I feel so blessed and lucky to work with all of you. I think you're absolutely brilliant. The things that you guys are coming up for to help our students learn is absolutely amazing. You're caring. There's so many times when I see adults talking to a student and just taking extra time to ask them how their day is. You're inspirational. Not only do you inspire me, but you inspire each other, and you also inspire our kids. You're hard workers. Teaching is not an 8 to 3:30 job. You guys put in so many hours and just do some incredible things for our kids. And you go above and beyond. So I just feel so blessed to work with all of you. I think you guys are amazing. Okay, well, everything I said is absolutely true, and I believe it 100%. I just wanted to know how many of you were motivated by those statements. So how many of you feel motivated when somebody tells you the great things that you're doing? I know I do. All right, awesome. Well, that leads me into our topic for today. Our topic for today is motivation. So what is it? John D. Miner says, motivation is those processes within an individual that stimulate behavior and channel in ways that should benefit the organization as a whole. Jared Greenberg says, the forces acting on and coming from within a person that account in part for the willful direction of one's efforts towards the achievement of specific goals. And Jennifer M. George and Gareth R. Jones say, motivation means 3 things. The person works hard, the person keeps at his or her work, and the person directs his or her behavior toward appropriate goals. So, what is motivation to a student, though, or to a kid? To put it simply, it's something that makes me want to work harder, from a Walnut 6th grade student. Motivation can be different for everyone. Motivating for one student might be, if you don't succeed or if you don't study, you shall not pass. But not every student is motivated by grades. So why is motivation important for our school? Motivation plus learning, or plus the teaching that you guys are doing for our kids, is going to equal student success. And isn't that our ultimate goal? To help students become successful in the classroom and then outside of the classroom? So right now, I want to know, what have you guys been doing to motivate your students? What's been working for you? So you're going to discuss at your table what's been working in your classrooms to motivate students, and then one person from each table group is going to share out, or if we have more than one person who can share out their awesome ideas, that'd be great too. All right, awesome. Thanks guys for sharing. So how can we increase student motivation? There's 3 theories that we're going to talk about today that have been studied and proven to work. And there are also 3 theories that I feel strongly can really benefit our kids and that I think we can implement as a staff. So those 3 theories are the self-efficacy theory, the need hierarchy theory, and the goal-setting theory. So self-efficacy theory, tongue twister. So self-efficacy is the belief that you're capable of performing a task successfully. It's believing in yourself. If you think you can, you will. Our own beliefs about ourselves will either enable our progress or hinder our progress. So it's like when we say, if you believe in yourself, you're more likely to be able to do something. So someone who believes that they can do a difficult task is far more likely to be able to do that difficult task than someone who already believes that they can't. Our own beliefs play a huge role in how we perform. Be an overachiever. So how does self-efficacy affect our performance? It influences our goals. People with low self-efficacy set lower goals for themselves. People with higher self-efficacy set higher goals and perform at a higher rate. It influences our learning and effort. High self-efficacy produces harder workers. That's because they're confident that their hard work will pay off. It also increases our success. It influences persistence. So high self-efficacy creates people who are persistent even when times are tough. So if you really truly believe in yourself, you're going to keep trying until you're able to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. So there's 4 sources that have been identified as self-efficacy. The first source is past performance. You have a higher self-efficacy when you have already attained success. So this is like our kiddos who are coming from 5th grade to 6th grade and they've studied fractions in 5th grade. And so when they come to 6th grade and they have to study fractions more in depth, they're more likely to believe in themselves because they've already been successful once. The next one is through vicarious experience. So that's when you see someone else does it, and so then you feel like you can do it also. So like I know for me, when my friends go on a diet, I'm like, hey, they're doing it, I could probably do that too. We unknowingly inspire each other through our successes. So I know as an adult that when other people are successful and I can see that they are doing it, then I feel like I can do it also. But our kids need to see that too. So if there's a difficult topic that we're working on in our classroom, if we can point out those kids that are being really successful and praise that, then other kids are going to see that it's possible, and they're going to want to try and really be successful in that area. The one that I think is going to be really important to our staff and that we can really implement in our classrooms is verbal persuasion. So that's when you convince other people that they have the ability to succeed. So that's saying to kids, I believe in you. I think that you can do this. That's setting high goals because that tells them that you believe in them. So I think that's one area that we can definitely hit, is just letting kids know, hey, I believe in you, and that's going to increase their belief in themselves. And the last one is emotional cues. So those are those symptoms that your body produces when you feel that you're underperforming. So like sweating and that kind of stuff. Some of the strengths of this theory: a higher self-efficacy equals higher performance. So if we can get kids believing in themselves, they're going to perform higher. It can also be easy to implement, and I kind of talked about this earlier. We can just, if we praise our students and we let them know that we believe in them, that's one way that we're already implementing this theory. We can set goals with our students, and also when they reach a goal, if we celebrate those successes, that's also going to increase that motivation. One of the drawbacks to this theory is that students who have a low self-worth will not be as easily motivated by this theory. So those kiddos who really just don't believe in themselves and just don't feel like they're able to do stuff are not going to be motivated through these different ways. So that's one drawback. So how can you use self-efficacy in your classroom? We're going to continue to set those attainable but high goals for our students. And when you set high goals, it helps them to believe that you really believe in them. Because if you set low goals for them, that's telling them that you don't really think that they can do much better. So it's important that we set those high goals. And also, if we challenge students to set their own goals, that's going to set them up to continue to believe in themselves and to continue to do that the rest of their life. The next one is tell them that you believe in them, and more importantly, show them that you believe in them. Challenge them. So a few years ago, I was giving the NESA test to 25 of my special education students. And so they would raise their hand, and I would come over and I could read the question to them. And so I had this one little guy, he had been working, he was like 2 hours into it, and lots of the other kids were done, and he still had a lot of the tests to do, but he was just working so hard. He was having me read every single question to him, and then he would go through and he would cross out every single answer until he felt like he found the correct answer. So he raises his hand one time, and I just had been going over to him, telling him how proud I was of him, because I could tell that he was kind of getting discouraged. And so he raises his hand and he asked me to read a question. And so I read it, and then he asked me to reread it, so I reread it to him, and then I just tell him how proud I am, that I just think he's amazing, that he's working this hard. And he looked up at me and he goes, "When are you going to stop believing in me so that I can just give up?" And I just remember thinking, wow, I never really realized how much what I'm saying to him was affecting him, because he really he was like ready to give up. He kept telling me he wanted to give up then after that, but he said, "I won't give up if you don't give up." And so I just kept telling him I wasn't going to give up. And so he tried so hard on that test, and his score increased from that last year to this year so much. I was so proud of him. So I know from personal experience that telling them that you believe in them and you really believing that you believe in them works. Also, we need to teach them if at first you don't succeed, try again. Nobody is successful 100% of the time the first time they try something. You have to keep trying. And also, as educators, we need to provide more opportunities for success. So when you're teaching a lesson, if you can provide different ways for them to be successful, that's really going to help them to see, hey, I might not be successful when I'm trying it this way, but if I try it this way, I am. And that's going to help them to believe in themselves. Also, something that we've been doing a great job of is providing test retake sessions and also test study sessions. So if we can continue to do that and let them know, hey, if you failed that first time and you go back and you study really hard, there's a good chance you're going to get a better grade, and we're going to let you have that better grade. And then the last thing is just celebrate their success. The next theory we're going to talk about is the needs hierarchy theory, and this is one of the more well-known theories. This comes from Maslow. And the needs hierarchy theory is a sequence of human needs. So it's 5 levels, and the first level must be met before the second level. So you start at the bottom, and you have to meet the needs at that level before you can get to the next level. The hierarchy begins with our most basic needs and works up towards our most complex needs. So we would start here at the bottom with our sociological needs, which are food, water, and shelter. So our very, very basic needs. Like, we have to have food, we have to have water, and we have to have shelter in order to continue to live our lives. The next level would be safety, which is dealing with security, stability, and protection. Social, so affection, acceptance, and friendship. And that's kind of that piece where we need to make sure our students feel like they belong at our school and also that they're loved and cared for. Then esteem, so our students' own self-esteem, their esteem for others, and recognition. And then at the top of the pyramid is self-actualization, so seeing that growth and their achievements and then advancement. So think about this with your kids, those kids who aren't getting enough to eat at home and who don't know where they're sleeping the next night. Those kids are stuck here. So are they really worried about achieving well in school? They're just worried about making it through the day. So some of the strengths of this theory is it identifies a systematic way to help people reach success. So we can go through and say, okay, this person is right here. What can we do to help them meet these other needs so that they're able to perform at a higher rate? And it helps us to make sure that all of the needs are met. The other big strength to this is that the pyramid's easily understood. You can read the pyramid from bottom to top and you know what it's talking about. The drawback is that we don't always know how to help students meet their needs, or what can we do, especially if it's something that needs to be done at home and we can't always do that. So how can we apply this to our classrooms? The first thing we need to know is that their basic needs absolutely need to be met. So that food, water, and shelter piece, we have to help them meet those. So if they aren't getting that at home, we need to set them up with resources. So some of the resources that we have available for our kids are school social workers, the school nurse, and school counselors. And those people are really great, especially our school social worker, about connecting kids and families with resources to help them get those needs met. Also, the hierarchy helps us to better understand why students are not being successful. So we can look and see, what are they missing that they need? And once we can identify that, we can help them get that need. The last theory that we're going to talk about today is the goal setting theory. So what is a goal? A goal is what an individual is trying to do. Goals direct attention and action. So they give students a purpose for what they are doing. And we know that when students have a purpose, they're more likely to succeed and perform in the classroom. It also challenges them to create and develop ways to meet their goals. And lastly, goal accomplishment leads to higher self-efficacy and motivation. And we already talked about self-efficacy earlier. So when they accomplish those goals, they are more likely to believe in themselves and are motivated to continue to work hard and set other goals for themselves. So goal setting. We've been doing this in our classroom, so that's great. I just kind of want to review what that should look like and ways that we're using it. So when we're doing goal setting, we want to make sure that the goals are difficult yet attainable. So we want to make sure that we're telling kids, hey, we believe in you. We're setting a difficult goal for you because we know you can do it. But we also want to make sure that the goals aren't too difficult because we don't want to discourage them. They need to be specific. So what am I really trying to achieve? What are we really trying to get them to do, or what are they really trying to do? They need to get feedback. So we need to be letting them know how they're doing on those goals, and they also need to be able to measure their own feedback. So we should be comparing their performance against their goals. We need to make sure they stay committed, especially if we've set a long-term goal. We need to revisit that goal often and remind them what they're working towards. And then once they've reached a goal, we need to celebrate that success. So some of the strengths to this theory are that it provides a purpose for students. When growth can be monitored, it really helps kids to see how they're doing, and they're more motivated by that. And then when goals are met, satisfaction ensues. Some of the drawbacks are that it can be difficult to create goals that can be measured. So if it's not a test score goal, it's kind of hard to measure those goals. Also, student buy-in is not always there. If we're saying this is what we're setting your goal for, it's not always there. So really making sure that they're a part of that goal setting process will really help. And then deciphering the difference between a high but attainable goal and a high but unattainable goal. So we want to make sure that our goals, we're setting those high, but they're still unattainable. And sometimes it's kind of difficult to decipher whether a goal is too high or too low. So how can we use goal setting in our classrooms? We want to make sure we provide opportunities for students to set goals. So when we're giving an upcoming test or there's an assignment that they're going to be doing over a long period of time, we also want to make sure that we're setting specific goals. And then we will also want to know what would they like to achieve. They're more likely to want to achieve a goal if they have a say in what they're trying to achieve. We need to provide opportunities for measurement, so providing that feedback like we talked about earlier, and then comparing that performance against the goals. And then lastly, celebrate success. Praise students for achieving their goals. And that's kind of the fun part of our job, right? When students succeed and we get to kind of like do the hooray, because when they succeed, guys, we're succeeding and that feels good, right? And like I said earlier, our ultimate goal is to help our students be successful in and outside of the classroom. And success, because you too can own this phase of pure accomplishment when you reach success. Okay, so let's recap today. We know that motivation increases student success. There's 3 theories that we can now put into action. Those are the self-efficacy theory, the need hierarchy theory, and the goal-setting theory. So now, thinking about all those theories and what we've been talking about, there's sticky notes in the middle of the table. So if you could take a sticky note and make a goal to apply one of those strategies in your classroom. So think about one of those theories and one way you could apply one of the strategies that we talked about in there. And then once you've applied that strategy in your classroom, I've set up a blog on our staff website. So if you could share some of your successes so that we can celebrate what we've been doing to increase our student motivation. Thank you everyone for listening, and just make sure you get your goal set before you leave.